Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Subspace Developer Sync. Going to go around and get updates on what everybody's been working on. Right now, the big priority is getting ready for the Ares testnet deployment and the relayer archiving Kusama. So let's actually start by talking about that. Serge, if you want to go first. I know you're kind of the main effort right now.
Sure. So during the weekend, I have re-implemented Resync Blocks, old blocks. So now there is a less chance that we miss any blocks. And today I have implemented transaction size limit check for basically transactions we submit, and both were merged already. Any questions?
Great. And what are the next steps for you?
Next step would be processing old blocks from disk, from RocksDB.
Okay. So just to make sure I understand. So whenever we start up the relayer, it will now sync the new blocks as they come in, and it will, and if you restart it, it'll sync any gaps in the blocks, but it's just not syncing from Genesis yet, which is the disk store.
By default, it starts from Genesis. So if we do not specify last process block explicitly, it will start from the first block by default.
Over the network?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we have to manually specify from disk first, and then it will start from the network after it runs out of disk blocks.
Yeah. Okay. Or I can make a default, just process new blocks by default, if there is no value for last process block. That's easy change.
What do you think is best, Nazar?
I think the way it works right now is the correct one. It should start from the beginning.
Okay. Okay, great. So, and this is just for Kusama, right?
Yes. I mean, Resync. Yeah. Resync covers para blocks, but processing blocks from disk is currently only Kusama.
Okay. And so we have that, I'm just trying to make sure I understand correctly. So we have, the data has been uploaded to BitTorrent. We have a torrent now for the Kusama history. We have the ability for developers to sync that locally, but it's already been stored on the DigitalOcean droplet, right, Nazar? Okay. So the data's there. We just need to write the code to read it and process it as transactions. Okay. Okay, after you finish that reading from disk, Serge, what other tasks are remaining before we can close this out?
I think cover Powerchains.
Just extend to Powerchains. Okay. Okay. And I guess we're jumping around a little bit here, but Nazar, we've got what's the status on the Powerchains, on the syncing of those from Genesis so far?
I've downloaded Kusama itself, Parallel Heiko, Kintsugi BTC, Altair, and Guild SpiritNet fully. I'm in the process of downloading Basilisk. It's going pretty good. It's about 130,000 blocks out of 190,000. The bigger problem is Kala, which is just 100,000 out of 600,000. And for the rest, I'm actually running the full archival node sync. And those are around 7 million blocks from relay chain out of almost 10 million. So the problem there is that it syncs the relay chain and parachain. It cannot finalize parachain blocks until it gets the corresponding relay chain blocks. That's why I technically have those blocks, but it doesn't work until it's finished. So that is still running for all the other parachains.
Okay. Do you have any idea when you think we're going to be 100% on all those being synced?
I would say about 2 days, and maybe one more day until I can pull it from there. It really depends on the implementation. It seems like some nodes are not very quick. So when you try to pull the block, it's just naturally very slow. And there is not much you can do. For instance, some of the Powerchains, when you try to download blocks, you're downloading about 1 block per second, basically, from OnFinality. That's just 2 requests. One is to get the block hash from block number, and the other one is to download the block itself. And it takes this much time.
Did we hear anything back from the engineer at OnFinality about speeding that up?
They said they removed the limit, or tried to remove the limit. I don't actually hit the limit itself. I feel like their nodes are just slow. And since I didn't see any difference, I gave them information how to reproduce. And they said they will do some tests, and I haven't heard anything since. So I don't know. Hopefully they have some idea how to make it faster.
So for OnFinality, it's ultimately, it just comes down to a request by block height.
Yeah.
Could we just like write a script to increment through the block heights and just request them in parallel?
Yes and no. I tried that. Unless they have a lot of nodes, it will not be faster. It will be actually slower. So the more requests you do to the same node, it actually gets much slower. So, yeah.
Okay. And there is not actually like a Kala network, or their network is just really buggy to request those blocks from.
Those that I'm downloading from OnFinality, there are no working instructions to run the node using Docker, at least. I didn't try to build like everything from scratch for all the networks. That would take too much time. But I did try to run. I did my best. In some cases, I was able to like read the Docker file, read the source code, and figure out how to run it. In one case, that was Guild. They actually replied to me the correct Docker image tag. I didn't try it yet, but I was able to download it otherwise. But for some of the networks, just instructions are non-existent. Docker images are broken. I have no idea how many validators they have with this kind of approach.
Okay.
Yeah, and one more thing, there are actually sometimes endpoints by network maintainers, like creators, but not all of them are actually archiver. So some of them are just full nodes, and you cannot request something like block 0, just not there anymore.
Right. Okay. All right. Any questions for Serge from the team regarding his updates? Okay. We appreciate all the hard work over the weekend, Serge, and yeah, we'll sync up tomorrow morning at the next call and just briefly discuss the progress on this as well there. Okay. I guess we'll just go in, Nazar. We'll let you go ahead and finish your update now.
Yeah, so Kusama is on torrent. I uploaded it to the DigitalOcean instance as well. I shared the torrent with Serge, so you can try to pull it from there. It is around 43 gigabytes. And for the rest, I think we'll have to start with Kusama and then add Powerchains a bit later. By that time, I should have all of them downloaded. Besides that, I updated the downloading script a little bit, such that now it can actually take the JSON response from the node, regardless of what blockchain it is, and put it together as kind of scale encoded. So as if it was encoded by the node itself. This fixes some problems around types, because not all of the types are exactly the same throughout duration of the protocol. Sometimes they change it. So you can like decode earlier blocks, but not later blocks, or sometimes you can decode later blocks, but not earlier blocks. It's a mess. So it's much easier to just put it together from those binary pieces and then sprinkle some necessary like compactance and encoding and stuff to make it work. So I think that function to put things together can be reused by Serge as well for his purposes. Then I fixed a little bit object mapping because there was a potential problem where well, if some object actually crosses the boundary of a piece, it will not be working properly. It will actually crash the archiver. So that was fixed and simplified a little bit. We no longer store the length of the data because we already have it in the blockchain. And I removed the fee from the put call. And there was a question from Serge whether we need to remove the fee from create call on the palette feeds. Yeah.
Create feed.
Create feed, yeah. And yeah, there've been quite a few pull request reviews, discussions, and I also did some research on palette vesting and on some other things. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Is there an open question right now on that, Serge, on the feeds, create feed? Is that a blocker?
Well, no, it's not a blocker. It was
Okay.
just a comment. Yeah.
Okay. We're already setting up the accounts for everybody, pre-funding them, so I think we can probably, as long as we don't have to pay transaction fees continuously, I think it's okay to still retain the cost of the create feed call. Okay. Any questions for Nazar? Okay.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a question regarding this relayer virtual machine that I created to make it run the backend. Actually, should I import the blocks in there because that will be the machine that will have this relayer backend like running always like a service maybe?
Do we need a separate virtual machine? Why can't we use the same machine?
Reuse which other one? I don't know.
The one that has the Bootstrap node running.
How, if we can make it run in there? Yeah, I have a task regarding this create this virtual machine like apart. So I just done it and have it running like with as a service actually.
Do we really want to tightly couple the relayer and the Bootstrap node in case one of them crashes? They both crash now?
Well, it's quite unlikely that they will crash. I'm just thinking how to organize it. If
Maybe
we can
just share
package the application in something like Docker, we can just write one Docker compose file which will run everything together. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking that's another option regarding the relayer, maybe packing up in Docker. But I don't know how to, because I just created the machine and launched the relayer app and it is working, but I don't know what else to do regarding that.
I think it would be easier if we just separate them into two different nodes versus having to create another DevOps workflow around this right now. It's something we can do later.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Leo. So that means that you need to sync these torrents or these block stores into that node as well as Nazar fetches them.
Yeah, but I was asking myself if this is stored in a separated storage, maybe we can attach it to the droplet itself.
I was storing that in the downloads folder, just on the root drive. You can copy it to the other drive and detach it. I don't think we store anything significant there. But that's better be discussed with Justin. He set everything up there. I can upload it anywhere if necessary. It will just take, I don't know, half an hour.
Okay, let's sort that out right now. So, Justin, how are these machines set up? Are the drives detachable, and we could disconnect from the Bootstrap node and reconnect it to the relayer node for the block store?
So we can. There is a 250 gigabyte drive that me and you were talking about the other day, Nazar. That one can be disconnected from a droplet and reattached to a different droplet. There's an 80 gigabyte drive that's like the root drive of the virtual machine that cannot be disconnected.
I think we will need that bigger drive for the nodes because they will store quite a bit of data.
Mm.
So I guess we can just create another one just to store all these downloaded blockchains.
Okay, so we'll have like a root drive for the Bootstrap node, and then a plot drive for the Bootstrap node, which is this 250 gigabyte one, and then we'll have another drive which we can detach, which will be the block store for the Genesis relaying. Okay, so
basically when we have all the blocks, we just connect it to this another machine and work with that. That's the idea. Or am I, or maybe I am lost?
What do you think, Nazar?
Can you repeat?
We are right now like getting all these blocks in one storage, right? So at the moment of the launch date, right, we just deattach this storage and reattach to the virtual machine that I launched and use it in there.
No, just create another volume and connect another volume to the new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, hang on. If we have, that's okay, Justin. If we have the relayer, I'm just thinking about this now. There might be a problem with this. If we have the relayer node on a separate instance and it's connecting over the network, but these transactions are being submitted to the Genesis node or the Bootstrap node, it's almost like the relayer node actually is the first Bootstrap node, and then the one that we're exposing as the Bootstrap node to the public is actually the second, because it's going to have to sync from the Bootstrap node.
Just broadcast transactions. Doesn't matter on which node you do it, I guess. So.
Well, but that was the whole point. We can't do that. We have to set it up without a network in order to sync 40 gigabytes in a reasonable amount of time, right? With a faster block time.
But it's still like block production will only happen on one node. Either way. So we'll not have farmer on the relayer. And the latency within the data center of DigitalOcean is very, very small. It's like 100 milliseconds, I think. So
okay, I think we need a diagram here. I don't know if we all have the right understanding of how this is actually working, because it's not making sense to me either right now. So maybe we need to just pause, and maybe you and I can sync offline about this, Nazar, and make sure we're on the same page. Okay. Okay, Leo, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Well, regarding the Polkadot apps, I think that you are aware that we already have the testnet like working in this Explorer. So that's like done and ready for the launch. We just have this Explorer working, and today I will be working in these two features that we have missing. And from the last call, I think that I have been working in the Relayer app and the Relayer CDN deployment. So I have this Relayer backend working in a virtual machine with a local testnet. Just for testnet purpose, I just run a mini testnet, and it works. I can back up in live mode all the blocks when I start the app. And in terms of the front end, the CDN is working actually. I have some pending updates, adding I think that 2 new Powerchains that I will be doing, I think that in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I will come back to the Polkadot apps missing features like this block time and starting this error progress discussion. So yeah, I think that's mainly from my side.
Okay. And the block time, didn't we figure out that was actually from the back end? That wasn't a problem with the front end?
Yeah, we have a problem in there. I have to create a custom derive method similar to the block author. It's not too complicated, but it can be done. And as we are not like first contributors. When we create this pull request to Polkadot apps, it's really fast now. It will take, any update shouldn't take more than 1 day in Vue merged. And I also added these GitHub actions, 2 or 4. So when we create these pull requests, we can be aware that it's correctly formatted and linted, and we are not having like build errors in the pull request. So it's even faster with that, like ensure.
I'm sorry, I'm still not understanding with the block time. So when you say block time, you mean the fact that it says 1 second target, but it should say 6 seconds?
Yeah.
You're going to make a custom derive method for that to just hard code it to be like by 6?
I don't think you need anything custom. I pointed to the line where there is just a special case for Babe. You just need to copy that line and create the same line for Subspace, and I believe that should be it.
I will check that. Like I said, I was with the relayer, and I just like watched the problem like from in a light mode. So yeah, if you think that there is an easier way, I will try that.
Okay. Any questions for Leo? All right, awesome, Leo. That's great progress. Thanks for. I know you're working on like 4 different things, getting all those lined up and ready to go. So sounds like we're good on that front. Thank you.
Nice. So I think that from the relayer side, we got this working in terms of front end and back end, like as soon as possible. Yeah.
Great. Okay, Ozgun, you're up next.
All right, so phase 1 for Farmer binary to library is completed. Identity is now abstracted as a public struct. I had actually more changes ready, but probably they will be subject to change. So currently following the plan we made with Nazar for the upcoming changes. And there has been a lot of PR, so I've been looking at them. And I did a lot of practice on my Rust skills to improve myself, especially on generics. And I'm more than ready for getting my hands dirty on the upcoming next phase change for binary to library. Yeah, that's about it for my end.
Okay, great. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit more in the protocol sync up next. And then we've got a call Wednesday morning to go over the Farmer API in more detail with Nazar.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Ozgun? Great, thanks, Ozgun. Okay, Liu-Cheng, you're up next.
Okay, so I have done the first round of overall overview of our current code base, and I have had a discussion with Nazar, and we kind of had reached some consensus on some problems, and I'm not sure we should expand them here or in the protocol thing.
Let's do that in the protocol sync.
Okay, so, and I like it, and I had done some a few small refactoring PRs, like yeah, something like that.
Okay, great. And you're going to be attending the event for the Shanghai Blockchain Week.
Yeah. I just came back from that event.
Oh, that was today. Oh, right. Sorry, time change.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How did that go?
Well, I'm not a fan of such an event.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you going and representing us. We can talk more about that offline. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any questions for Liu-Cheng? All right. Okay, Justin, you're up next.
Awesome. So I resolved the 525 SSL error that we had on the website from last week. It looks like it was just a couple, pretty much duplicated DNS records that were causing some issues with the Webflow website. Got the default URL adjusted from the www, so it's just Subspace Network now. Loaded an Nginx server on the Bootstrap virtual machine and got an SSL certificate set up on that. So now it's supporting secure WebSocket instead of just WebSockets. And got some nodes running up, or got my my Grinder node running for the testnet as well. And I have that running on a 4 terabyte drive, so there is space there needed for archiving and that kind of thing if needed as we move forward with the backing up.
Awesome. What are we expecting the plot size to be for a farmer right now if we're doing Kusama plus 12 parachains by 2x? Does anybody know?
Under 200 gigabytes, something between 100 and 200.
1 to 200 gigabytes. Okay, cool. So so that's another thing as we throughout the week as we get this this backup done correctly with all the parachains, we're all going to need to be spinning up our local machines to run a farmer and a client as well. And it's going to be on the order of 200 gigabytes to do that. So let's everybody make sure that you've got a machine that you can leave running. Hopefully, if it's like a desktop, if not, laptop's better than nothing. But this is part of the development experience and the product design experience is making sure that we all understand what it's like to use our product. And if it's really slow and bogs down our machine, it means that we need to figure out how to engineer it so that that doesn't happen. So no better way to do it than to run it all the time on your machine. So cool. Okay, thanks, Justin. What about the status page? Is there anything we need to do to do for that?
Yeah. One thing it's really just a matter of how we want to deploy it at this point. I wasn't sure if we wanted to go with just another virtual machine. I was actually kind of curious about DigitalOcean has just launched an apps functionality. Kind of works like Heroku, where it's just like a continuous integration directly off of GitHub. And it seems like a pretty streamlined way to do like Node.js applications and things like that for deployment. I've started digging into it, but I haven't really had like the on-hands chance to really mess around with it. But from what I can tell, it's pretty much identical to Heroku, which I've used in the past, and I find pretty easy to use. So I was just curious about like Nazar's and the team's thoughts about doing that, or if they just prefer to go with like their virtual machine droplet route.
Didn't really work with Heroku as a developer. Usually use virtual machines and stuff. So if it works, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not something that we really need to go in and customize that much. So it's not, like we need a virtual machine for the relayer or for the Bootstrap net, obviously. But for something like this, where we're really just deploying an app, then I think it's totally fine to keep it simple and just use whatever app deployment service they have.
Awesome. So yeah, I can get that deployed. I do have it on Heroku right now. If you guys wanted to take a look, I can send that link over to you. Find it. But sweet, I will get that moving forward. And I do need to also get it switched over from the repo on my end, on my personal account. I need to get it made onto a Subspace repo.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that too. Okay, thanks, Justin. Does anybody have any questions for Justin? All right. On my side, the main update is I've been going through all the tasks from the Spain engineering offsite and trying to collect those and organize those. And we'll be working on that throughout the week as we close out the relayer and we start thinking about what the next steps are going to be in our various meetings throughout the week. We'll be incorporating those tasks into the planning. Otherwise, the priority is to finish the relayer, like we've already discussed, and be prepared for the testnet launch this week. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I just have a comment.
Do we have?
Go ahead.
Sir. Oh yeah. Do we have a particular date, like a public date this week to launch the network, or we are doing it as soon as possible?
A public day?
Yeah.
Well, it's not. We're not doing an announcement around the launch. We're just launching. It's like a very soft launch. So we don't have any launch date. As soon as it's ready. If it's not ready by Wednesday, we'll be in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Okay. But as soon as it's ready, we're good. I mean, we're planning to deploy the new website on Wednesday.
It's already kind of running. We just need some fixes.
Yeah. And it may be that we launch with support for Kusama, and then the next day we add 3 parachains, and the next day we add 3 parachains, and by Friday we've got, you know, all but 1 parachain like Kala, who's just giving us a lot of trouble, for example. Not the team at Kala, just their parachains being really wonky. Okay. Okay, what was your question?
Just a comment about offsite tickets. I'm not sure anyone noticed, but there is actually like a list of things on the implementation side, and there is a column whether ticket was created. So I actually created all of those tickets for those things already. It's in the protocol board.
Great. I was not aware of that, actually. I have my own board I was using to track all that, but I was going to go through that with you this week, Nazar, make sure that we're on the same page there. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you guys in a couple days.